Somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right.
The 1960s, a time of reformation, nonviolent action, a dream of unity across America. Martin Luther King Jr. sets in motion the largest movement for American civil rights and human rights the nation has ever seen. His work was nothing less than extraordinary. His story is timeless. His work prompted many other movements that continue to echo today, from women's rights to Occupy Wall Street. The influence of Martin Luther King Jr. can be traced all over the world. Now the question is, how well has that influence endured, and how has the message of Martin Luther King Jr. and other civil rights leaders transposed through the generations?
The traits about Martin Luther King Jr. that I admire the most is definitely his perseverance, his dedication, his speaking skills, and his rhetoric as well. He really had a talent and ability for just capturing the audience and just being able to relate to the emotions and the cries and the pain that existed in the nation and that existed with his people, and being able to use that in a manner that he could tackle the issues that he wanted to.
I think the messages of the activists of the 60s are definitely extremely prominent today. I feel like a lot of their hopes and aspirations have come true. I feel like we've definitely come a long way. There's still a way to go, but I feel like we definitely have come a long way. And it's still very present. But then some of the issues are also very present, which keeps their dreams and hopes and aspirations alive. The fact that some of those problems are still here keeps their entity still here.
2 generations later, the message of Martin Luther King Jr. continues to resonate in our nation. But in what ways has it reached our youth?
Equality among everybody is one of the most important things that everyone should know. The first thing that parents teach their kids is to treat others the way you want to be treated. Golden rule right there. So it's very prevalent in everything.
A lot of times I feel like people have a lot of internet activism in which they may retweet something, post on Facebook, but as far as actually maybe marching or actually doing a protest or just even writing a letter to maybe a congressman or something of that nature, I feel like it doesn't happen the way it used to, or just very little at all at this point in time. So I feel like there's a lot of talking of different issues, but as far as actual effort that's put in to change them, I feel like a lot of the activism is definitely lost in the youth.
You saw all the photos, all the videos on the internet, and people are fighting for their own rights. And like for me, no matter who won the fight, there will always people be hurt in this fight. But it's always important for me to understand why, to understand about people's needs. I think that's important.
Now that we know some of the issues that affect today's young people, a new question is formed. How can America's youth be active about issues and make their voice heard?
I feel like the first thing young people need to do is get the right information and know exactly how they need to tackle an issue. There needs to be more planning. There needs to be more, like I said, education about the right issues. And they have to be able to disseminate through the media what things are truly important to them and be able to develop their own opinion and not so much just taking the opinion of others as what should be important to them. And then when they can first make that step, then there could be more activism, and the activism will be more effective because it's coming out of the right place and it's coming with effective planning and it's coming with the right mindset.
You can't really fix anything if you don't know specifically what's wrong. We can say all day long, oh, racism is still alive. Okay, well, I kind of have a lot of Caucasian friends. So what's really going on then? Is it, institutionally? Is it, in your specific department or your specific area of expertise? Are you having problems there? You have to specify and you have to research on it. Why is it like that? Who is in charge there? How can you go above them? Everything has a process.
Before, I was really quiet. I just choose to be quiet all the time. But actually, when I came here to America, I start to recognize that if I'm now standing up and speak for myself, and nobody will care about what I'm doing and what I'm reporting, especially my major is journalism.
So definitely in the 60s, there were people such as Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, there was the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and just a lot of different organizations and civil rights leaders who were very influential in just the civil rights movement as a whole, and very influential was activism. But today, I wouldn't say that we have those same individuals, and I believe there are some pros and cons to that as well, because a lot of those individuals were easy to kind of deflate, or those movements were sometimes easy to take out if you took out the leader of those movements. And now today, there are some movements, but there's not always a clear leader. And so if you can't take out a clear leader, you can't just so easily deflate the movement.
Everything isn't always a fight. Everything isn't always, you pick your battles, you choose your battles, and sometimes some people really are just on the same playing field, and it's all a matter of understanding. So a lot of the times we all just want the same thing, and everybody's fighting over which path to get there, but in actuality, nobody has just a point A, point B, and this is the way that you go, okay? Some of us like to take the back streets. I like the freeway, but we're all getting to the same place. And the sooner that everybody kind of realizes that we all just want the same thing, the sooner it's gonna actually happen.
Our nation will forever continue to feel the influence and presence of the sacrifices Martin Luther King Jr. and other civil rights leaders made for civil rights.
Slap away. In this room, start a little child. In this room, that's little